They won both legs against Athletic. They advanced 7-1 on aggregate, all smiles at Old Trafford. Their Europa League campaign really has brought up some bright moments, much brighter than what we've been seeing in the Premier League for them so far. All right, we've got Frank Leboeuf and Jan Fjørtoft here with us to talk more about what we just saw tonight. But let me start with you, Steve, because I just do want to get to that point on some of the really good moments we've seen for Manchester United in this competition, this tonight being another one of them.
Well, eventually tonight, they did all the hard work in the first game. You know, the truth is, with Urigiza getting that goal, it kept us all on the edge of our seat and interested. And United, up until that goal from Mount in the 72nd minute, you didn't feel as though they were going to make a mess of it, but you just weren't quite sure. And then, of course, you saw Athletic drop the level and United just, well, they raised their level and finished up easy winners in the end. But as I said, they did all the hard work in the first game, but they did leave us just sitting on the edge of our seat a little bit for too long.
Jan, on the night, the reinforcements off the bench made a difference.
It did, and I must say the first touch of Mason Mount on his first goal, brilliant. So they did changes, they used their squad, and it's easy to criticize Manchester United, a giant that should just be lucky that there are newly promoted teams that are so bad that they can even be involved in the relegation battle. But we have to give them respect. This is a semi-final of the Europa League. As Steve is saying, they did the hard work in Bilbao, but still 7-1 on aggregate. A tap-in from Højlund, can you believe that? He's a goal scorer, he's a goal getter. A tap-in, that's a goal a striker would love. And yes, I was sitting next to my dad who helped me with the analysis as I had the most eyes on the Bodø/Glimt game as a Norwegian I am. And my dad was hammering them for 60 minutes. And then they said, yeah, that was a good win. That was a good win for us. But he was not happy the first hour. He was still nervous. And I think that summed up that Manchester United game.
Spurs are through to the final as well. They are on their way. They're heading to Bilbao. 21st of May. They will be meeting Manchester United. But Jan, let's get to you, because you said Bodø/Glimt were going to turn this around.
I did, absolutely. After that 3-1 at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I thought there was a chance. You tell me there is a chance, but I was dumb and dumber myself. But I saw the game against Lazio. And they could have scored 5 or 6 against them. I've seen how a big advantage has been playing on the AstroTurf. You have to be honest about that. But I must say, this wasn't the greatest of games. You saw the possessions, Bodø/Glimt 67, Tottenham 33. I mean, that is some numbers, but it was there was never a chance that Bodø/Glimt will get that. I must say, I'm a bit impressed by Spurs. Not that they played a magnificent game, but they had the will to adjust. This game was more and more north. It was nearly up with Santa Claus, as I've said before. The AstroTurf was worse and worse, but they came there. They did a proper job from the first minute. They were disciplined. They did what they had to do, and absolutely deservedly in the final, Postecoglou. And he learned from the time he was there with Celtic, where they had big problems there. So now, great respect for Tottenham. Although they will say you knock out Bodø/Glimt, but this is a team that always win at home and always score goals, and they did neither today.
Are you impressed with Spurs on the night getting it done, Stevie, sealing that win?
I wouldn't say I was impressed. I expected it. And again, a bit like United, until they scored, there was always a possibility. The thing that I was interested in more was what Jan was talking about, that Spurs did what they had to do. I mean, how many times have we said this about Postecoglou's teams? We never say it. I mean, he's always talking about, I'm never changing the way I play, and this is my philosophy, and this is how we're going to go about it. But in this competition, he absolutely has got the job done and done enough to make sure they win. What's happened to all that in the Premier League? Why can't he do that in the Premier League? They've got talent. They've got talented players. So how about you do it in the Premier League? Now listen, if he goes on and wins this, it might be too late. But if he does win it and they keep him, he needs to really think about what he did in this competition and take it into the Premier League and get more points that way.
Why do you think it has been so different, Frank?
That's very surprising. You know, we can say the same things about Manchester United. I mean, we are talking about the 15th and the 16th in the league, in the Premier League. but they were capable of doing the job in Europa League. I mean, Manchester United had been undefeated in that competition. So it doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe they've been lucky, but maybe, as the guy alluded, they adjusted on the team they were playing against, and Spurs showed it today. I don't know. I wouldn't say that the Europa League is less... not interesting, but it would be weaker than the Premier League. I don't think so. The teams are good. Some teams are very good, but they did what they had to do. Maybe they've been lucky with the draw, but they've done it and they've done the job. It's going to be funny to see which team is going to be the less, the one who doesn't adjust to the other in the final. That's what it is. Because we don't expect anything. I mean, we saw for 60, 70 minutes Manchester United being nowhere near it at Old Trafford in a semi-final of the Europa League. We saw so many times Spurs struggling, in some games. But they managed to do it. So credit to them. And if you are in the final, it's not randomly that you're in the final. So again, credit to them. But I don't know if it's going to be an interesting final. Maybe the worst of the worst. We'll see that.
Oh, well, it is, as Frank
positive,
mentioned, an all-Premier League affair in the Basque Country for the final as Spurs take on Manchester United. Manchester United favourites coming into this final. But I want to get the thoughts of you guys. Obviously, it is a hard one to pick, considering the season that both of these sides have had. But who edges it for you, Jan?
Well, what a drama. I mean, I should be a Hollywood voice here saying, what a drama at Colosseum. The one who is losing will lose his job. So this is unbelievable. We are now two managers that can save the season. And last time I checked, only one of them can win. So this is a very, very open affair. I think Frank is right by how will it adjust in the final. If Tottenham keep doing what they have done in some games, it was also in the first game against Bordeaux, Stevie, they were more kind of adjusting to the opposition. So maybe that will give them a small advantage. I think this one is very, very hard to call. I think this is a very open. I won't go as far as Frank did and say we're going to kind of give the champion of the worst. I mean, the price is big. There is Champions League. There is so many up there. What I saw from Tottenham today, and I saw the performance of a Romero, these are, I mean, he is sometimes a bit crazy. We know that. He's involved in so many things. But when he's concentrating, playing his game, they are strong. Bordeaux is a team, no standard by all means by Premier League, but this is a team that's always creating chances. They nearly didn't create chances today. And that's the Tottenham we need to see in a final, even against a Premier League opponent.
Did you give us an answer there, though, Jan? Who have you got?
Tottenham. I will go Tottenham.
Okay.
If I will do 55-45.
All right.
I can't really see past United, to be honest, because I think if you try and analyse the way these teams play and how they've played all season, you can't hang your hat on anything. You can't hang your hat on either of them defensively. Going forward, United struggle. I mean, you saw Garnacho's up chance tonight, the way he tried to dink the goalkeeper, and it's just not his game. I'm going to go United because United have got players in their team who have been involved in Manchester United over the last 2 or 3 seasons, and they've won cups. They've got a couple of FA Cups in their back pocket. And Tottenham don't have that, in my opinion. Yeah, they might have Romero, who's got a World Cup. But in general, this United side, when it comes to cup finals, turn up. And so that's what I'm hanging my hat on, that they're going to turn up in the cup final. Because to try and figure out how they're going to go about it and how they're going to play is nigh on impossible. Because they're not consistent, either of the two of them. So I'm going to go United because I think they've got more players who recently have played in cup finals and who won. Yes,
obviously things are going well for them in this competition. Both sides have made the final, but as mentioned, it's a whole different story in the Premier League as we take a look at the bottom half of the table. They are next to each other in 15th and 16th on 39 and 38 points respectively. In fact, this week, Arsene Wenger has said that Europa League winners should not get into the Champions League next season. And when you see this and you think of what the Champions League is supposed to be, you can see the point that he's making, but do you agree with him, Frank?
Well, don't forget that Manchester United shouldn't have been qualified, and it's only because they won the FA Cup last season that they went to Europa League, and they are in the final of the Europa League. So what can happen next season, I don't know. I kind of understand what Arsene Wenger is saying, and according to to what we see with the table, yeah, it's going to be hard for either Manchester United or Spurs to be in the Champions League next season. But again, they're going to recruit players, they're going to get hopefully better for them, and we'll see what's going to happen. But yeah, I don't know. Before, when before I started to play, and it was maybe Stevie era, the only team who were involved in the Champions League was the first of each team, and not the second and the third. So who deserve to be in the Champions League nowadays? Can you imagine that maybe half of the Premier League will be in European Cup next season? Half. 8 or 9 clubs. That's crazy.
Jan, what do you think of what Wenger had to say?
No, very good point. The FA Cup win gives them Champions League. The Europa League win gives them Champions League. And if they win the Champions League, get to the Super Cup, and then they get to the Club World Cup, Manchester United is in a good wave at the moment. I do understand what Wenger says. But first of all, this are the rules now. They do it to kind of attract the Europa League. So I can live with that. It's harder to see that it's called the Champions League. But if you're a Champions League winning the second division, that doesn't help the brand, does it? And we come now to the funny end of the season when Arsenal been flying. Arsenal, no trophy, no final. And Tottenham, Manchester United, it's West Ham between them and the relegation teams, and they get into Champions League. I mean, you have to be a producer to understand that. You have to be a film producer to kind of get that into the saying. And don't tell the Arsenal fans, are you kind?